Hello, YouTube Live. How's it going? Sorry, I just finished my dinner. Let's see if we're live. Mm. Mm. Hello, YouTube Live. How's it going? All right. Welcome. Where's that picture that I have of House of the Dragon? I had it right here. There you go. Let's bring it up. So tonight is Sunday, August 21, 2022. The premiere of House of the Dragon series on HBO. The episode one already premiered on the East Coast. A bunch of critics already saw the movie. Not saw the movie. I'm sorry, the show, uh, and posted their review this past week. I didn't get to do it. I apologize. I've been busy, and but there's a certain other upcoming show that I am gonna go do a review on, and you're gonna like that one. I can't say that here yet. So, but House of the Dragon is Game of Thrones prequel. That's what it is. That's all it is. Game of Thrones prequel. It's set about 100 years before Daenerys Targaryen existed. Let me turn on my volume here. So Daenerys Targaryen, of course, is Khaleesi, played by the beautiful Emilia Clarke, who is my future ex-wife. Seriously though, if you have Clarke's number, or if you're friends with her, let her know that I'm available. I hear she's single too. So I watched this episode this evening, and what's my overall verdict right off the bat? House of the Dragon episode one. It's okay, man. It's just okay. It's like they're taking all of the familiar parts of Game of Thrones, and they're throwing it in this one. Um, it doesn't really add anything new to the table. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really add anything fresh. Sure, it's about the Targaryens being in power, and that's about it. And of course, they throw in a bunch of um, Game of Thrones references. And of course, House Baratheon shows up. House Stark shows up. You know, they're doing that in hopes to get you stoked, to get you geeking out. It's like, oh my god, they mentioned Stark. Oh my god, they mentioned Baratheon. Oh my god, the dragon is here. Because, on Game of Thrones, those of you, my fellow Game of Thrones fans, knew or remember that it took a while. It took a while for the dragons to show up on Game of Thrones. So they're like, you know what? We're just gonna put them all in here. Everything that everybody liked about Game of Thrones, you know, including the sex, the nudity, and the violence. It does get violent in this one. Throw them in there, in House of the Dragon, without really reinventing the wheel, without really add anything fresh at all. It's like, you guys like this one, right? Here it is. Here it is. Like it never left at all. Um, that's pretty much my impression of this first episode. And secondly, even though George R. Martin is heavily involved with this project, along with the creator of Colony, Ryan Condal, I believe that's his name. So George, I hear that George is very involved with this one, unlike Game of Thrones, which is, you know, he was involved, but he was not really actively, as opposed to like David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, who were the showrunners of that Game of Thrones show. But this one is like, he had his stamp on it, and so that's a good thing. I think that's a plus. That's a bonus. Like, you want to have the creator of this universe on board, so that's a good thing. But because this is a prequel, I gotta be honest with you as well that throughout watching this first episode, I was missing the guys. By the guys, I mean the iconic characters of Game of Thrones. The whole time I was like, oh, I know they mentioned Targaryen, they mentioned Baratheon and Stark, but none of their faces showed up. There's no Kit Harington, there's no Emilia Clarke, there's no Sophie Turner. You know what I'm saying? So going into like 20 minutes into the first episode of House of the Dragon, I was like, who are these guys? Maybe I'm the only one who felt that way, but I was like, who are these people? I don't recognize any of these faces. Who are these? Look at this girl, this little girl, Targaryen. She's like so tiny and so bleach white. Who is this? I just started like making fun of them, and then of course Reese Fan showed up, on this show. He's the guy who plays Lizard, the villain Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and also Mycroft on the Sherlock Holmes series Elementary. So it's like, oh, Reese fans, of course, and Patty shows up. Like, yeah, I recognize them. Of course, Matt Smith. I know them, the stars, but I don't know their characters. So again, it comes down to who are these people. Yeah, I get the stars playing them, but I don't know any of these guys. I don't know Jon Snow. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. There's no Jon Snow. There's no uh, uh, Jamie and Cersei, and like. So the whole time I was missing the guys, man. I was missing the iconic faces. So that's number two, right? So number one, this show doesn't really reinvent the wheel. They're just throwing in a bunch of stuff that you like from Game of Thrones, hoping you like them too, including introducing the dragon first off, right off the bat. And number two, I miss seeing the guys. It's like this feels like Game of Thrones, but where are the Game of Thrones faces? um, Number three, um, maybe this is one of those cases where you got to give the show some time, right? Right? It's fair to say that you can't really judge a show based on just the first episode. Yeah, that's fair. Um, Maybe it's still trying to find its footing, Um, but the thing is, with Game of Thrones, I'm sorry I keep comparing to Game of Thrones, but it's also fair to compare it to Game of Thrones because this is a Game of Thrones prequel. And you know that HBO is hoping that House of the Dragon would garner the same success that Game of Thrones enjoyed. That's the objective. Don't be naive. So it's okay to keep coming back to Game of Thrones. Basically, with Game of Thrones, um, yes, it's a power struggle, but the power struggle started already early on. I'm talking about like in Game of Thrones, there's so many bad faith characters. There's so many villains. There's so many good guys turning into villains, um, because they want that power. They wanna crush. They wanna annihilate. They wanna bring the other house to heel to their knees. You know, every episode, like for example, the Starks families got so persecuted, man. We feel so awful for them. We feel heartbroken for Arya and the guys. Um, Red Wedding, whatever you want to throw in there. And of course the other characters as well. Like they just can't seem to catch a break. They can't catch a break. All right, not just the Starks. The other characters, they keep other oppressors would come in, whether it was Joffrey or Ramsay Bolton, and they would just like crush these protagonists, and relentlessly, like really perpetually, like oh my God, when are they gonna get the upper hand for once? Um, I don't get that sense coming from House of the Dragon, at least on episode one. It seems like it's formulating, like it's about to or probably gonna go there, but there's not enough assholes, okay? On Game of Thrones, there are so many assholes. On House of the Dragon episode 1, the only asshole is Matt Smith's character. What's his name? Damien Targaryen? Uh, he's the only asshole so far. It's like, oh, that's not enough. Game of Thrones is like Ramsay, Joffrey, and all these assholes just like popping up, every week or every other season, and it's just like crushing the good guys. this is like you could see it coming a mile away that Damien's gonna, obviously betray his brother, the king. Gonna try to take the throne somehow in the subsequent episodes. So um, he's the only asshole. Yeah, the king is a bit of an asshole too for what he did to his wife tonight. That was really, really horrible, horrible. But as far as like getting into the Ramsay Bolton Joffrey territory, nobody else but Matt Smith or Damon, I should say, that's taking that mantle. And to me, that's not enough. If you want to be like, you know, if you want to garner the same success that Game of Thrones did, then try to emulate that because I think that was part of what's appealing about Game of Thrones. You know, all these characters trying to kind of eat and crush each other. It needs to be that relentless. Hopefully, in the subsequent episodes, it gets to be that way. Obviously, with this first episode, if you've seen it, again, this is a spoiler filled review. There's a lot of spoilers here. So if you've seen it, obviously this episode is very, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's geared towards um, championing feminism, you know, and destroying patriarchy, which is awesome. But that's obviously the objective. That's obviously the agenda and why this episode is designed this way. It's this episode is the rise of this young girl right here, a Targaryen. I believe her name is. I keep forgetting all the characters' names here. Rhaenys. No, not Rhaenys. Rhaenys is the mom. Rhaenyra Targaryen. So that's what it was. And it was a very lengthy episode leading up to her rise to power. And prior to that, or leading up to that, it's all this talk of like, oh, a boy has to be a king, and like, oh, maybe the Damien Targaryen needs to be the successor instead of her. All this talk of like, oh, we got to cut out my wife to get the son out. It's like, oh my god, it's it's very clear the intention is to kind of, again, it goes to what I said earlier about throwing a red meat or throwing a bone to you guys. Whatever you guys liked in the previous Game of Thrones, you get that on this episode 1 of House of the Dragon. And also, if you had read, the showrunner said that there's not going to be sexual violence on this show. By that, you know what it means, right? They mean that episode when Sansa Stark got raped by Ramsay Bolton. And I think there's a few other episodes of sexual violence happening on Game of Thrones. So they said there's not going to be a lot of sexual violence here. That makes sense with what we saw on this episode 1. With all this sexism, misogyny, and then ending up with her, Rhaenyra, being the queen. It's as if the episode is saying, okay, we're going to give you everything that you like about Game of Thrones, and we know that you hated that Sansa got raped by Ramsay Bolton, so now we're going to have the woman as the ruler. But the thing is, do I like it? I do. I think I'm not against it. I'm just saying that is the direction that the story's going to take. As opposed to how it was in Game of Thrones. Now, in defense of Game of Thrones, I'm not condoning sexual violence or I'm not excusing it at all. But it does, those scenes, as uncomfortable as they were for us to watch them, they kind of add another emotional impact. You know what I'm saying? What I'm getting at is Ramsay Bolton, for example, he's an asshole. That's the word I like using. And what he did to Sansa makes us even hate that character even more. Um, that gets us all riled up as audiences. And number two, dude, It's medieval world, medieval fantasy world. It's brutal. It's merciless. It's unforgiving. Um, you know, everything's for the taking. You know, everything's for the stealing. Whatever you have right now or today, somebody else might take it from you, and it will be theirs the next day. And so that includes properties like women and slaves and whatnot. It's medieval. It's supposed to be brutal. And so the idea of sexual violence happening in such a setting, in such a world, unforgiving world, it's not too far fetched. So that's what I'm saying in defense of Game of Thrones um, scenes of sexual violence. I get that why House of the Dragon wants to kind of steer away from that. Um, we do live in a post Me Too era now, and a lot of people are very easily triggered by those things. I get it. I get it. So what have you? You know. So go with it. Fine by me. I do like the fact that this little girl is now the queen. I just want more assholes to show up. You know. It can't be just Matt Smith. Matt Smith is not enough. And after seeing Matt Smith's dance in Morbius movie, you know, going like this. That's all I kept thinking about watching this episode. The whole time I was watching it, I was just hoping for Matt Smith to break into his Morbius dance again. I was like, oh my god, I can't get that image out of my head. That scene is so seared into our memories now. There's got to be more assholes than just him, man. It cannot be just Damien Targaryen alone who's the bad guy, okay? That's not how Game of Thrones rolled. Game of Thrones had many assholes. So overall, those are my thoughts. Those are the few points that I have about this first episode. I'm not too crazy about it, but at the same time, I don't hate it. I tweeted that it seems like they're just squeezing out of whatever is left. They're just trying to squeeze out whatever is left of this already finished franchise. That's what I said. And I stand by that. You know, it would have been nice if HBO had greenlit something more new and original. You know what I'm saying? As much as I love Barry, right, the comedy Barry, I don't know if I want a spin-off of Barry. I don't know if I want a prequel of Barry. Like, come on, give us something else. If you want to go still into the period piece or medieval type of fantasy storytelling, that's fine. But does it have to be another Game of Thrones? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one feeling that way. So there's nothing really fresh or new based on just this first episode. Who knows? We still got a lot to go in this first season of House of the Dragon. So we'll see if they could surprise us, all right, in the upcoming weeks. Hey, JG's here. What's up? JG. Oh, JG's cracking up, apparently. Glad I could amuse you, my friend. And OBX Arms, the casting sucked. Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. I think I mentioned earlier that even though I don't know any of these characters, I don't recognize any of them, you know, some of the faces are familiar. You know, the cast, the stars, like Reza Fans, Matt Smith. You know, Reza Fans, I still associate him with the Lizard in Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2. I still associate Matt Smith with that dance in Morbius. So it's hard to kind of picture them in this role just yet. But who knows? They might grow on me. Maybe this is one of those cases where you got to give them time, you know? You got to give them time. So who knows? JG, hi to you too, my friend. Hi to you too, my friend. All right, so that's it. I got to go back to editing my video review now. I'll be posting some new videos tomorrow. I apologize for the delay. I just wanted to have a restful weekend for once. So that's what I did. I took a lot of nap, and I feel rested, and that's good. You know, sometimes you need that. So, but yeah, starting tomorrow, there'll be a few more new video reviews. So tune in and tell everybody to subscribe to this channel, and let's rock this.